Welcome back, everyone. Right now, we are going to do cars passages. So, let's see how we can tackle our cars passage. So there are a few things that we are going to look for. The most important thing, perhaps, in reading the passage is getting the main idea, trying to understand it, reading it with a tone that is enthusiastic for us, so that we are getting engaged in in the passage with the author, and we totally understand the main ideas of each paragraph, and that helps us to build the main house that is the main idea of the passage itself. And we want to go in with an open mind and without any prejudgments. We don't want to be affected by our preconceived notions. Instead, we want to be able to see everything objectively, and at the end be able to tackle every question one by one. Usually we can eliminate two options, and choose the more correct one between the remaining two answers that we toggle between. Okay, we also know that this passage has 6 questions, so we want to dedicate 10 minutes to it, but we are reading it. I am reading it out loud, so it will be a bit it will take a bit longer. And let's start with this. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Okay. Late Turner, Painting Set Free, 2004. The subtitle of the Tate Britain's recent show of J.M.W. Turner's late paintings is Painting Set Free. My query about the subtitle of Tate Britain's show is free from what in the 1960s, when Lawrence Gowing used the phrase to sum up Turner's achievement. It complimented him for having released painting from the dreary chore of mimesis. He claimed Turner led us to abstract art. The destiny of the art, supposedly, was to move away from paintings that attempted to replicate objects in the world like fruit or people and become abstract. So Turner, whose canvases looked to a contemporary detractor like pictures of nothing, was acclaimed after his death as a forerunner of Jackson Pollock with his labyrinths of dribbly pigment, or Mark Rothko, whose panels resembled lakes of dried blood. So 2 words that are re-emphasized are abstract. So the idea from the first paragraph is that Turner's art led us to abstract art. The anachronistic tribute did help to rehabilitate Turner and make him fashionable again. Not long before, Kenneth Clark had found some of his late, dazzlingly indistinct landscapes junked in the basement of the National Gallery, rolled up like lengths of moldy tarpaulin. All the same, it was wrong to call him a romantic abstract expressionist, as the poet Kenneth Rexroth did. So it's wrong to call him romantic abstract expressionist. Even in his last decades, as the Tate's glorious exhibition demonstrates, Turner's paintings still depicted myth and uh, even in his last decades, as the Tate's glorious exhibition demonstrates, Turner's paintings still depicted myth and political prophecy, with illustrations of randy Olympian gods pursuing terrified mortals, or vistas of ancient Rome in decline that warned Britain about the fragility of its maritime empire. He went on painting anecdotal scenes of peasant revelry in Italy for sale to tourists, and had a journalist's eagerness to document a news story, as when he hired a boat to get a better view of the fire that destroyed the Houses of Parliament in 1834. His paintings are not freeform, they are formal experiments that favor traditional subjects. This is the main idea of the passage. So his paintings are not freeform, but formal experiments that favor traditional subjects. But although Turner may not have freed painting from literary or topical subject matter, he certainly marginalized those sources. The episodes Turner picked out from classical myth and biblical fable are boldly reinterpreted almost to the point of non-recognizability when he paints them. Often in his maelstroms of agitated water and inflammatory blazes of light, the putative subject is hard to locate. A painting of Apollo chasing the nymph Daphne, who turned into a laurel tree to escape him, reduces the infatuated god and his prey to lookers on, and transfers its attention to a hound and a hare that reenact their chase. Where is the Roman consul Regulus in the painting in which his Carthaginian captors rip off his eyelids to blind him? He may be one of a few gesticulating figurines in the foreground. It doesn't matter, because what interests Turner is the searing glare of the African sun. Another canvas purports to show the god Mercury ordering Aeneas to leave the Carthaginian queen Dido and resume his travels, which will end in the founding of Rome. Mercury, however, is too mercurial to be seen. In his place there is only a silvery, shimmering column of air, as if Turner had caught the winged messengers dematerializing. With Bacchus and Ariadne, he made no attempt to compete with the ecstatic volatility of the figures in Titan's painting of the same encounter. Instead, the wine god and his tipsy revelers melt in a torrid, sensual furnace, a river of molten gold that spills down from a flaring sky. Again, Turner turns a classical myth into something that can scarcely be imagined, let alone made visible. The transfiguration of Ariadne makes her a source of new light. As the jewels in her crown ignite as stars, we are glimpsing a metamorphosis, and Turner therefore paints a metaphor of sexual awakening. So we can see that everything is about metaphors, and the main idea is also of the author is also that Turner's paintings are not freeform, but they are formal experiments that favor traditional subjects. Let's go to the first question. The author would likely favor a college course on Turner's art that compared his art to the work of later abstract artists, gave information about when Turner painted, included ancient legends and biblical stories, had students try to paint their own landscapes. So we know that the passage is talking about Turner. So the author would likely favor a college course on Turner's art. So it already says on Turner's art that gave information about when Turner painted. No, it's not about the time that Turner was painting. Compared his art to the work of later abstract artists. No, it's not about comparison of Turner to his peers. Included ancient legends and biblical stories. That could be the answer, since it's about the traditional subjects. Had students try to paint their own landscapes? Would be C. You can see here our answer is correct. Based on the passage of the following, which would be the best example of a painting that Turner could have painted? So we expect our example to have traditional subjects as the likes of the Carthaginian, the classical myth, and biblical fable. A portrait of the head of the Colossus of Rhodes, one of the seven wonders of the ancient world. A beautiful mix of colors that seem to glow on the canvas, but that do not clearly resemble anything. A painting of a large brown. This could not be the answer. Not resembling anything. That's against the idea of the passage. A painting of a large brown centaur, whatever that is, framed by angels and fairies flying in paintings corners. This is too. This is not like traditional subjects. A group of large birds flying in the center with the biblical Noah's Ark in the distance, barely visible. This could be the answer, since it has biblical, but it says it is barely visible. The episodes Turner picked out from classical myth and biblical fable are boldly reinterpreted almost to the point of non-recognizability. So this is similar to barely being visible when he paints them. Often in his maelstroms of agitated water and inflammatory blazes of light, the putative subject is hard to locate. A painting of Apollo who turned into this reduces the infatuated god and his prey to lookers on, transfers its attention to a hound. So that is the correct answer. What is the significance to the passage argument that Turner painted a hound chasing a hare? So what is the significance of Turner painting a hound chasing a hare? Here it is. A painting of Apollo chasing the nymph Daphne, who turned into a laurel tree to escape him, reduces the infatuated god and his prey to lookers on, and transfers his attention to a hound and a hare that reenact their chase. Reenacting their chase. So it's a simile, right? It is a metaphor. Where is the. It suggests how Turner's painting changed as he aged. It is how Turner suggestively depicted a myth. It is an example of Turner's turn towards abstraction. It indicates Turner's interest in the natural world. To a hound and a hare. So this would be the best answer since Turner suggestively depicted the myth. The myth is Apollo chasing the nymph, so that is the correct answer. Based on the third paragraph of the passage, with which of the following statements would the author be most likely to agree? So based on the third paragraph, even in his last decades, first, I'd like to read the answers first. In Turner's time, painters often attempted to capture current events. While Turner was alive, English painters were not able to travel much. 1834 was the first time the Houses of Parliament were destroyed. At one point, the ancient Roman Empire had conquered the British Isles. Even in his last decades, as the Tate's Glorious exhibition demonstrates, Turner's paintings still depicted myth and political prophecy, with illustrations of randy Olympian gods pursuing terrified mortals or vistas of ancient that warned Britain about the fragility of its maritime empire. He went on painting anecdotal scenes of peasant revelry in Italy for sale to tourists, and had a journalist's eagerness to document a news story is when he hired a boat to get a better view of the fire that destroyed the Houses of Parliament in 1834. His paintings are not freeform. They are formal experiments. So, in Turner's time, painters often attempted to capture current events. This is not talking about other painters. So, you can instruct that. While Turner was alive, English painters were not able to travel much. This is also not about. This is not the idea about the third paragraph. 1834 was the first time the Houses of Parliament were destroyed, as when he hired a boat and had a so he had a journalist's eagerness to document a news story, as when he hired a boat to get a better view of the fire that destroyed the Houses of Parliament in 1834. At one point, the ancient Roman Empire had conquered the British Isles. With illustrations of Randy, terrified of ancient Rome in decline, that warned Britain about the fragility of its maritime empire. So, at one point, the ancient Roman Empire had conquered the British Isles. I like C better. Which of the following assertions, if true, would most support a claim that Turner led us to abstraction? Abstract paintings are now well known, even among people who did not study art. Turner's contemporaries viewed abstraction as the sign of an immature artist. Mark Rothko claimed that he learned to paint by copying Turner's landscapes. Poets who were Turner's contemporaries experimented with abstract language. Which of the following assertions, if true, would most support a claim that Turner led us to abstraction? Abstract paintings are now well known even among people who do not study art. Turner's contemporaries, the fact that people are studying it doesn't mean that it led us to abstraction. Here, Turner's used the phrase to sum up. It complimented him for having released painting from the dreary shore of Mimesis. He claimed Turner had led us. So poets who were Turner's contemporaries experimented with abstract language. Mark Rothko claimed that he learned to paint by copying Turner's landscapes. Turner's contemporaries viewed abstraction as the sign of an immature artist. I chose Mark Rothko because that's the only thing that's mentioned here, and his panels resembled lakes of dried blood, so that he learned to paint by copying Turner's landscapes. In claiming that later evaluations of Turner rehabilitated him, paragraph 2, the author implies that the anachronistic tribute did help to rehabilitate Turner and make him fashionable again. Not long before, Kenneth Clark had found some of his late dazzlingly indistinct landscapes junked in the basement of the National Gallery. So in claiming that later evaluations of Turner rehabilitated him. The author implies that at some point Turner fell out of favor with art lovers. Turner was not a successful artist while he was alive. Kenneth Clark's opinion of Turner is incorrect. Current art critics and lovers misunderstand Turner. It's the first one. Since he was fashionable again, so he was back. So I got only this one wrong. So we see that the main idea is Turner's paintings reinterpret classical myths, and it's here. This answer most aligns with the author's argument in paragraph 3. The author says that Turner's paintings are not abstract, they are formal experiments that favor traditional subjects. The passage supports this with the example of Turner's painting of the burning parliament. It says that Turner had a journalist's eagerness to document a news story that suggests that current events such as the burning of parliament are examples of traditional subjects. It was traditional for painters in Turner's time to capture news stories or current events. Thus, the author would likely agree that painters in this time period attempted to capture current events. So the author says that Turner's paintings are not abstract. They are formal experiments that favor traditional subjects. The passage supports this with the example of Turner's painting of the burning parliament. It says that had his journalist eagerness. This suggests that current events such as the burning of parliament are examples of traditional subjects. It was traditional for painters in Turner's time to capture news stories or current events. Okay, cool. Down to 25 minutes. I'll see you in the next course passage.